Sophie had been eagerly awaiting her husband's return from his business trip. She had missed him dearly and couldn't wait to have him back by her side. But as she waited, she received a call from a lawyer that shattered her world. Her husband had filed for divorce on grounds of infidelity. Sophie couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her husband, the man she had devoted her life to, had cheated on her. She was filled with anger, hurt, and a deep sense of betrayal. As she sat in shock, the lawyer continued to explain that her husband had been having an affair for months, and had even spent money on the other woman. Sophie's heart sank as she realized that her perfect life was nothing but a lie. She had always believed that her husband loved her, and that they had a strong and faithful marriage. But now, everything had changed. As the days went by, Sophie struggled to come to terms with what had happened. She felt lost and alone, and didn't know how to move forward. She tried to reach out to her husband, but he refused to speak to her. He had already moved on to the other woman, and didn't seem to care about the pain he had caused. Sophie's friends and family rallied around her, offering support and comfort. But nothing could ease the pain of the betrayal. She couldn't help but think about all the times her husband had lied to her, all the times he had come home late, and all the times she had suspected something was wrong. As the divorce proceedings continued, Sophie discovered that her husband's affair had been going on for longer than she had thought. He had even taken the other woman on trips and bought her expensive gifts, all while Sophie had been none the wiser. Sophie was devastated. She couldn't believe that the man she had loved and trusted had turned out to be a cheat and a liar. She struggled to make sense of it all, wondering what she had done wrong and why her husband had been so unfaithful. But as time went on, Sophie began to realize that the problem was not with her. Her husband had made a choice to cheat, and nothing she could have done would have changed that. She started to find strength in herself, and slowly began to rebuild her life. It wasn't easy, but Sophie was determined to move on from the betrayal. She focused on her career, her friendships, and her own well-being. She started to see that there was a life beyond her failed marriage, and that she was capable of finding happiness on her own. In the end, Sophie emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. She had been through a devastating experience, but had come out the other side with a newfound sense of self-worth and independence. And while the scars of the betrayal would never fully heal, Sophie knew that she had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As a successful businesswoman, Angela had always believed in the value of hard work and dedication. But as she looked across the room at the new young employee, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of desire. His name was Alex, and he was tall, muscular, and had a boyish charm that made her heart skip a beat. Despite being happily married, Angela found herself drawn to Alex. They began talking more and more at work, sharing jokes and stories, and before she knew it, they were going out for drinks after work. It was during one of these outings that Angela found herself caught up in the moment. She had too much to drink, and before she knew it, she and Alex were in a hotel room together. She knew what she was doing was wrong, but she couldn't stop herself. After that night, Angela and Alex continued to see each other in secret. They would sneak off during lunch breaks or stay late after work, always careful to avoid arousing suspicion. Despite the danger of being caught, Angela found herself addicted to the thrill of the affair. But as time went on, the guilt began to weigh on her. She loved her husband, and the thought of betraying him made her sick to her stomach. She tried to break things off with Alex, but he was insistent that they continue seeing each other. One day, Angela's worst fear was realized. Her husband found out about the affair. He was devastated, and Angela knew that she had broken his trust beyond repair. She tried to explain herself, to beg for forgiveness, but it was too late. In the end, Angela lost everything. She lost her job, her marriage, and her reputation. She was left with nothing but the bitter taste of regret and the knowledge that she had destroyed the life she had worked so hard to build. Looking back, Angela knew that she had made a terrible mistake. She had let her desire and her lust get the better of her, and in doing so, she had betrayed the people she loved the most. She knew that she could never undo what she had done, but she hoped that others could learn from her mistake. In the end, Angela came to the realization that cheating at work was never worth the cost. The thrill of the affair was fleeting, but the consequences were permanent. She had learned her lesson the hard way, and she hoped that others would learn from her mistakes and avoid making the same ones themselves.